Yeah.
Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert. You know, Week 7 doesn't have all the marquee matchups that we've seen in previous weeks, but obviously if you've watched any college football this season, you know that means nothing. You know that means that we are still going to be in store for a wild, a hectic, and unpredictable weekend of college football. But these are the 5 games that we believe are the biggest heading into Week 7. So guys, again, welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, here to break down the 5 biggest games and share our thoughts and predictions on each. As always, make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, and share our videos. And of course, check out everything down in the description below. Go sign up for those expert picks if you haven't already, guys. Both our college and NFL picks are some of the best in the country. We're fresh off a 70% week in college. We're fresh off an unbeaten week in the NFL. We're riding an 8-game winning streak on our NFL picks. Unbeaten this last weekend. Again, you do not want to miss out on those. Expert picks will be some of the best picks and one of the best decisions you will make all season long. Sign up for those today. Again, thegridironexpert.com, link down in the description. So let's take a look at these 5 games, guys. And if you look, the teams that are underlined, those are the teams we think will win. And we'll touch on why we believe that in a second. The top 2 games up here, there's no predicted winner. Those are our 2 games of the week. Oklahoma State and Texas, Kentucky and Georgia. We will have a Kentucky and Georgia video out on Wednesday, out tomorrow. We'll have Oklahoma State and Texas out on Thursday. Deeper analysis on both of those games, and that's where we'll share our projected winner. But let's briefly touch on the Cowboys and the Longhorns, number 12 and number 25. 5 of the last 6 games between Oklahoma State and Texas have been decided by 1 possession. That can be said for the last 4 games as well. 5 of the last 6, and each of the last 4, Texas winning 41-34 in Stillwater just last season. The million-dollar question you got to look at coming into this game is, yes, Texas is still a ranked team. Texas is still a good team, and they own home field advantage. The million-dollar question is, how does Texas respond after blowing the lead and blowing the game to Oklahoma? The Longhorns were up by 21 points in the first quarter. They were up by 18 points at halftime. How do they respond? Is this going to be a Texas team that is hungover, still devastated after blowing that big win or blowing that big lead against Oklahoma, something that could have changed the trajectory of the program and of the season? Or is Steve Sarkisian going to have his Longhorns ready to go, say we're still a ranked team and we can still make the Big 12 championship? They only have 2 losses. One of them was a non-conference game to Arkansas. So how does Texas respond? Additionally, how does Oklahoma State fare in stopping the run? Texas is averaging 245.2 rushing yards per game. Casey Thompson, dangerous dual threat quarterback. Bijan Robinson, one of the best running backs in the country. So Texas, a very good run-heavy team. Oklahoma State allowing just 91 rushing yards per game. Can their defense hold? Can they slow down the Longhorns? Texas, to me, owns the offensive edge. Oklahoma State owns the defensive edge. And again, major Big 12 title hopes at stake. A loss for Texas gives them 2 conference losses. They're done for. Oklahoma State, a win for them would put them in sole place, really second place, and the heavy favorite to meet Oklahoma in that Big 12 championship game. So the stakes are very high in Austin on Saturday morning. We'll have more on that game on Thursday. Number 11, Kentucky at number 1, Georgia. The SEC East is on the line on Saturday. Obviously, Georgia is a heavy favorite, about 24-point favorites at most sports books right now. It's unbelievable for almost a top 10 matchup. But that just shows you how good this Georgia team is. Both teams are 6-0. Both teams have high aspirations. But there's not probably anybody in the country that's giving Kentucky a fighting chance to win this game over the Bulldogs. The FPI is giving Kentucky just a 4.6% chance to win this game in Athens. When you look at the numbers, guys, one thing that stands out to me is how solid these 2 defenses are. Kentucky allowing just 305 total yards per game. Georgia allowing 201.2 total yards per game. Kentucky allowing just 111.3 rushing yards per game. Georgia, one of the best in the country, allowing just 64.2 rushing yards per game. So what this tells me really is that this is going to be a game that really has to be won through the air. Will Levis is going to have to win it for Kentucky through the air, as I think anybody that wants to beat Georgia, you're going to have to beat the Bulldogs through the air. And I believe Georgia will have a little more success on the ground than the Wildcats, but they might have to rely more on the arm of Stetson Bennett, who I thought has played extremely well and has done a great job leading the offense in replacement of JT Daniels, who just can't seem to get healthy. The million-dollar question I'm looking at here is Kentucky, right? Kentucky. It's all about what do they have to do, because we know what Georgia is capable of and why they're such a heavy favorite. Only one of the best, not the best, it's the best defense in the country, right? Kentucky averaging 212.7 rushing yards per game with Chris Rodriguez. Can they find a way to exploit a few weaknesses in Georgia? Because if they become one-dimensional, the Bulldogs are going to hone in on that. Again, guys, the last two teams that Georgia has faced, Arkansas and Auburn, both of which I could say have better offenses than Kentucky, Georgia has held them to a combined 10 points, shutting out Arkansas, allowing Auburn to put up 10 on them last week, still winning the game by, 24? Again, we'll have more on this game on Wednesday, deeper analysis. The SEC East will be on the line. Kentucky, again, a guy and a team that could finish 11-1, with the only loss maybe coming to Georgia. Obviously, the Bulldogs, though, now the new number one team in the country, looking to remain on top of these rankings and go win that first national title since 1980. Now we're getting to the games we're actually going to share a winner. I know that's what you're here for. How about Pitt and Virginia Tech? Pittsburgh and Virginia Tech. Why is an unranked ACC matchup on our big board? I'll tell you why. The winner of this game controls first place in the ACC Coastal. The ACC has been wild this year. Clemson and the Atlantic not looking themselves. Obviously, might not even win the division. A team like Wake Forest could. NC State could. That's the Atlantic. Over in the Coastal, everybody thought it was North Carolina's to lose. If it wasn't going to be North Carolina's, it was going to be Miami's. Well, now you're sitting here with the winner of Pittsburgh and Virginia Tech owning solely first place of the division. Pittsburgh enters this game fresh off a bye, and very similar to what we mentioned with Oklahoma State and Texas. I'm curious to see how Virginia Tech responds after that devastating home loss to Notre Dame. Justin Fuente and the Hokies had a great opportunity to make a statement victory over a top 15 Notre Dame team, blew a lead, ended up losing at home in the final second. Pittsburgh, on the other hand, again, comes in rested. The only loss, somehow, to Western Michigan, 44-41, but they have one of the best quarterbacks in the country that no one's talking about. Kenny Pickett for Pittsburgh has put up over 1,700 yards, 19 touchdowns, just one interception. This Pittsburgh offense is averaging 558 yards per game, and they're averaging 52.4 points per game. No one is talking about the Panthers. The Panthers team that does have a quality win now over Tennessee on the road, team that took down Georgia Tech, who previously took down North Carolina. This is a team that is very, very good, guys, and would be a top 25 team had they not lost to Western Michigan. You look at Virginia Tech, again, how do they respond? How do they respond? A team with Braxton Burmeister at quarterback that's getting the job done somewhat, just kind of been mediocre at best, and a team that, as we have seen, like they did against North Carolina in that season opener, a team that can shut down prolific passing attacks. And Virginia Tech is going to have to turn in another defensive performance, very similar to what they did in that opener against UNC. They're going to have to turn in a performance like that if they want to take down Pittsburgh. And to me, it's setting up to be very similar. The Hokies are hosting this game. Pittsburgh is favored in this game. Everything seems to be pointing the Panthers' way, and the Hokies pulled off that upset. I'm not here calling for an upset, though, guys. I'm really not. I've got to go with a team that I think is more balanced both offensively and defensively, a team that is well-rested as compared to Virginia Tech, coming off a very brutal defeat, and obviously a very heartbreaking defeat, physical game against Notre Dame. And many will say home field advantage. Blacksburg, Lane Stadium, a very tough place to play. Hasn't scared Pittsburgh before. They've won there before. They can do it again. Pittsburgh has won 2 of the last 3 meetings over Virginia Tech, each of those coming by at least 28 points. I'm not saying that's going to be a blowout this year, but I do like Pittsburgh in this game to get the job done on the road. And the Panthers will be a top 25 team going into Week 8. They will be a top 25 team then, and they will be in first place of the ACC Coastal. And just imagine, guys, having an ACC championship game, maybe NC State Pittsburgh, Wake Forest Pittsburgh, ACC, guys, that conference race. They might not produce a playoff team, but they're going to be fun to watch. 2 more games left up here. Number 19, BYU at Baylor. I'll ask you a question. Why is Baylor not ranked? Why is Baylor not ranked? Because I have the Bears as a top 20 team, and I believe that's where they belong. Because this Baylor team is good, guys. The only loss this year was by 10 points to Oklahoma State, allowing a late touchdown to make it a 10-point game. Baylor battled back and kept it a 3-point game for most of the fourth quarter. They bounced back at home, took care of West Virginia 45-20, a very impressive victory over a solid West Virginia team. Now, they now come into this game back at home. So they beat West Virginia by 25. That should have been enough to get them back into the top 25. AP poll decided not to. We know how bad the AP poll is. You look at BYU. They're going to be hung over, maybe like Virginia Tech, maybe like Texas. BYU, who was a top 10 team last week, enters this game traveling from Utah to Texas, fresh off that 9-point defeat to Boise State where they committed 4 turnovers. Well, Baylor and Dave Aranda's defense has improved drastically since last season. The Bears have forced 10 turnovers so far this year. Their defense, again, held West Virginia to 20, held Oklahoma State to just 24. They're doing a phenomenal job. And they're doing a phenomenal job offensively, too, averaging 525 yards of offense per game, 354 through the air. 525 versus West Virginia, a team that's still averaging almost about 500 yards per game for Baylor, 233 through the air, 228.7 on the ground. A lot of that starts with Jerry Bohannon, how great he's been playing at quarterback for Baylor. Has the ability to beat you on the ground, has the ability to beat you through the air. We saw for so long Baylor just pounding the rock, but against West Virginia, they threw for 354 yards, and that showed that Baylor can win either way. You take away one, they can beat you with the other. West Virginia didn't have an answer. I don't think BYU has an answer. The Cougars were unable to get anything going. Yes, turnovers was a major reason, but BYU couldn't even run the ball against what I thought was a pretty poor Boise State rushing defense. I don't believe that BYU is going to have the defense necessary to take care of this electric Baylor offense, especially in Waco. Give me the Bears, guys. They're favored in this game. They deserve to be favored in this game. They will defeat BYU, who will drop out of the rankings. Maybe the Bears will finally take their spot and get the respect that they deserve. Final game up here, number 18, Arizona State at Utah. Why is this game up here? Because similar to Pittsburgh and Virginia Tech, the winner of this game remains unbeaten in conference play and will become the sole leader of the Pac-12 South. First place in the Pac-12 South. Now, these two teams did not play last year. Utah, they're fresh off 2 straight victories, one over Washington State, the other against USC. But how much does that really stand for, right? A Utah team that's been very disappointing so far took care of 2 other teams that have been very disappointing so far. Doesn't really say much. I will give credit where it's due, though. Cam Rising has been playing great at quarterback for Utah. 625 yards and 7 touchdowns so far this year. The offense is averaging 221.8 passing yards per game, 168.6 rushing yards per game. Utah's offense is balanced. They can beat you both on the ground and through the air. They're not very electric by any means, but they're balanced enough to wear you down and put up some points. But you look at Arizona, but you look at the defense before I get to Arizona State. The defense for Utah is very uncharacteristic. One that's allowing 211 passing yards per game, over 130 rushing yards per game. That's not very typical of a Kyle Whittingham defense, very typical of a Utah-led defense. And that's been their ultimate downfall, guys, in the loss to BYU, a shocking loss to San Diego State. This Utah team just hasn't felt like the team we thought they'd be and the team that we've usually seen under Kyle Whittingham. You look at Arizona State, a team now that's averaging 212 rushing yards per game, one that's led by Rachaad White with 421 yards and 9 rushing touchdowns on the year, along with one of the best quarterbacks in the conference with Jaden Daniels, a guy who's averaging over 228 passing yards per game. This Arizona State team, guys, I believe is right now the best team in the Pac-12. And that might be saying much. I mean, you got Oregon up there as well. But Arizona State is playing maybe better as well as anybody in that conference. And this defense, guys, is the real deal, allowing less than 300 total yards per game. They annihilated UCLA a few weeks ago, shut down their run game. They annihilated Stanford back on Friday night, beat them 28-10, the same Stanford team that took down Oregon. I like this Sun Devils team a lot, guys. Stingy defense, very hard-nosed ground game that's going to wear down the Utah defense that, again, has been subpar, has been uncharacteristic. I like the Sun Devils to go on the road into Salt Lake City and pull off a big win over Utah, and the Sun Devils, who are many favorites to win the South, will again solidify themselves as the top team in the South. So there you go, guys. We're picking Pittsburgh, we're picking Baylor, we're picking Arizona State. The other two, Kentucky, Georgia pick will come out on Wednesday. Oklahoma State, Texas pick will come out on Thursday. Do not miss either of those. They're going to be great videos and great analysis and maybe a few picks that might surprise you. So make sure you stay tuned for those. But again, guys, another big week of college football coming your way. Not the biggest marquee matchups, but an SEC showdown that's going to have major, not just division implications, but playoff implications. We got Pitt, Virginia Tech, Arizona State, Utah that has major division implications. An intriguing non-conference game between BYU and Baylor, and Oklahoma State, Texas, of course, the winner becoming the sole person on second place in the Big 12, only behind Oklahoma. So big games coming your way. These are just the top 5, but as we all know, it's going to be much more wild and much more crazy on some of the other games that we haven't even talked about. Get ready, guys. It's going to be another wild weekend of college football. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, and share our videos. Of course, check out everything down in the description below as well. Sign up for those expert picks. Again, we are fresh off a 70% week in college, an unbeaten week in the NFL, riding an 8-game winning streak, and we plan on keeping that going this week as well. So if you've not signed up for those yet, jump on it. Don't miss out on it. Don't miss out on this week's picks, because it will be one of the best decisions you make all year long to sign up for our picks. Again, thegridironexpert.com, link down in the description. And once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on The Gridiron Expert.